Hi, Kevin. We're going to go on a journey and talk about your Harlequins project. My computer's recording program is doesn't have great audio, but I know that you'll be able to hear and understand me. And so we're going to talk a little bit about your concepts and how Harlequins in general are put together. Harlequins have infantry, and then they have all their vehicles have the same basic structure. So, and of the vehicles, you have two types of this larger chassis here, the Void Weaver and the Star Weaver. And then you have the jet bikes called Sky Weavers, but they also have more or less the same elements on them. So I want to talk about this with your project. First off, these cockpits, when you buy the kit, they have these half covers, and then they have full covers. And then you have the option to paint them opaque, in which case you don't see the driver, or you can paint them clear, where you paint the veins on them. Let me see if I can find a good picture of that. Yeah, so you can see there's like an edging to the cockpit that you can paint a solid color. Now, for what you're doing, I was recommending a fade to basically, I was saying go down the edge like this horizontally and make that the skyline. So everything up top here will be a brighter color, and then down here it'll be a darker color, like purple mountains or whatever, the earth part of the earth and sky of a skyline. Of course, once I started thinking about it, I thought you might want to go horizontally across the front. And you have a very limited canvas here. So basically the nose of the vehicle would be very dark, black, blackish purple, or whatever you choose, and then you would have basically a sunrise or sunset up top, and you would use those lighter colors. Now with an opaque cockpit, you could actually paint that on as if it were a sun or a moon, and that would be a very interesting way of going about this. And of course, you could just give up basically on your concept and just go with the traditional Harlequin thing, which really is quite fantastic, these patterns. I really love the squares rather than these diamonds that sort of flicker in and out. And that goes with the Harlequin's background where they have all these energy fields and stuff. And so now let's take a look at your infantry. And we're going to take a look at a basic troop. So I was talking about their tassels or their sashes, which all of them have, and they're pretty prominent. It's really an area where you can put a lot of detail. Like here, it's on his waist. This guy has some coming out of the back of his head, and that's your opportunity to replicate this dawn to dusk fading concept on your regular guys. Personally, I do not like all of these checkerboard type patterns on them. They're so small, it costs extra. To do the checkerboard actually takes longer than painting the whole figure, even to a high level. It's crazy. You're right to keep the white masks. They look good. White is always a nice stark contrast to everything else. For your army, I would recommend going with more solid hues on them. And you might be, oh, that's an interesting conversion. You might be able to find some examples of that. Like this, he doesn't have any checkerboard work, and this actually looks really good and can be done at a lower level and is a bit more economical. But people see this, that's like the typical Harlequin thing that you have, and that's of course what they want. And this is an extremely high level of painting. You're talking about a professional spending a day or two at least just working on them. I've seen tutorials where they paint like 1/5 of them, like the guy's torso. It takes 10 hours to do it. It's crazy. And that's the type of work that this is right here, where there's all these little swirls and stuff like, I mean, this is crazy. If you can even find someone to do it. And it's not backlogged for 10 months or whatever. yeah, this is an example of where there's more solid colors on there. A little bit of that checkerboard work, which is fine, but you've got things that are simple when you're talking about a guy that's 1 inch tall. Simple things are going to stand out better. And that's why I think that the Harlequins that have more basic color schemes, or they don't make everything try and pop, they just pick a few things. I like this guy. This is fantastic in my opinion. It's very few elements that work really well together, and you've got something that really stands out. Now, I'm not telling you to do your army this way. You can do whatever you want. We can do it however that you want it. I'm just here to give you some ideas, uh, and hopefully get gain your favor to do your army. This is fantastic. This is like a Games Workshop picture here, just with the freehand up top. So your thing would be kind of like this. The only thing is we would have a vastly different element up on the trunk of the vehicle, and then whatever your other things are. We could also potentially, I'm not sure exactly how, but we could potentially replace this whole cockpit with a giant jewel, which is a conversion I've done before, or actually put like a big old face on it. But if you're going to do that, then you're talking about a completely different aesthetic. But let me tell you, that would really stand out. I love this. Again, it's very simple. This is obviously a conversion of a Dark Eldar figure. You've got some witch pieces, Dark Eldar Reaver helmet on there, and I think we have some of those floating around. Let's just keep going. Yeah, another great simple color scheme. Of course, that goes the Shadow Seers, kind of that's his thing. And let's see what else. Those are some cool conversions. More artwork. All right, well, I think I've got to the end of everything I have to say. Thank you very much. Get in touch with me when you're ready to go, or if you want to talk about it some more.